Now, switching gears up here a little bit, one of the things that I get asked a lot, especially in our public office hours for Stammer.ai every Tuesday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. PST. There'll be a link down below if you want to join, where we just talk about generally how you can build and sell AI agents to other businesses. We get asked a lot about how to create custom prompts for businesses. Now, when we typically look at GPT cheat sheets like this is going to be something very specific to using ChatGPT natively within the interface that you and I might be familiar with. But the basic structure of a prompt is really important to be aware of, because as AI becomes more integrated in literally everything in our life, it's going to be extremely important to know how to actually interact with these AI LLMs and know how to prompt. And I love this example because it provides a very clean and easy way to basically just see how you want to write a very simple prompt, act as a role to create a task shown as a certain format. This is a format that can be used pretty much universally across any prompt. But if you have this as the core of your prompt, a lot of these other things like prompt chaining, tree of thought, or whatever can be a lot easier to add because you have the core foundational structure of what you want your prompt to be. Now, this isn't just general information. All of these concepts are directly from the OpenAI cookbook, where they basically give all of the documentation about how to properly write all of these prompts. And these concepts are all there in their documentation. So this is actually the information that OpenAI is giving us directly about how to write prompts is within this graphic. So this is something super useful to take a screenshot of, and there will be links down below in the show notes where you can go to this and download this directly. Now, one of the things that you could use this ChatGPT cheat sheet for is writing more emails. Now, this is something that people have probably been doing since the very beginning when ChatGPT came out, but within the context of cold emails, because I think this is something where AI has been extremely powerful, where you can have it write customized or personalized first lines or entire emails to specific leads that you're doing cold outbound to. This has got to be one of my favorite short and sweet examples of a cold email that you could essentially copy and paste into a prompt and have ChatGPT help you write it for your business in correlation to the businesses or context that you're trying to reach with cold email. This cold email script never stops working. Love that. Adjust as needed. Obviously, you want to make sure that this is personalized. You're not copying this word for word. But the simple breakdown is generally just a paragraph of text where it's broken out by the reason why you are reaching out. The second line is the problem that the person that you're reaching out to might have. Third line is a short description of your company. Fourth line is a brief example of results that you can offer. The fifth line is the irresistible, and this is directly after Hermosi. And then the final is a simple, very easy to understand and read call to action. Now, you can take variations of this, but this is a very good way to kind of get started, where if you have no idea about how to do cold email or what to write in your cold emails, this is a pretty good way to get started. And once you start to see your open rates at 15, 20, maybe even 30%, you can start to optimize and figure out how you can start increasing these open rates and increasing your click-through rates by having more unique information in your subject lines or in your emails. Now, another fantastic template that I saw recently was from SEMrush about how they created this beginner's blog post guide. Now, I definitely want to take this example with a grain of salt, because this is definitely formatted like most of the AI generated content and articles that are out there today. Now, I want to preface that because it's going to be very important to not look and sound like AI as much as possible, especially when Google is starting to crack down, especially when users inherently are reading information and then being like, that kind of sounds like ChatGPT wrote that. Maybe I should not listen to this information because ChatGPT wrote it. So take this example with a grain of salt, but the most important thing here is I don't want to say technical SEO, because that's not actually what this is, but the formatting of SEO within a blog post and article. And I can briefly give a breakdown of some of the most important parts that are consistent regardless of pretty much any SEO advice that you realistically will ever get. For example, there's a title. That title should contain the main keyword of what your article is about. There's going to be an introduction or a first line. In that first sentence, the keyword should also exist, and it should be simple and clear. Have an easy to understand definition, explanation of why the meta tags are important, overview of the rest of the article. That's a pretty quick and simple introduction of entirely what SEO is for a beginner. Then inside the body, there's going to be an H1 or an H2 tag, depending on where that format of the article is. There's going to be more in-depth description information and text. There could be potentially examples or embedding of videos or images, all of which will help by having the keyword associated with those items. Generally, a good idea or a metric to follow is you want your main keyword to show up between 5 and 7 times in your article, and you want related keywords to show up between 3 and 5 times within your article. And the cool thing is you can use these types of templates to train GPT to write it in the way that you want. So it doesn't have to look like this title, introduction, blah, 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 conclusion. One of my favorite formats is actually to create this listicle type of style of post, basically. So for example, you could create a post that is, here are the top 5 things that do XYZ, or here's an example of this versus this. These are usually really good blog posts because they have a lot of content that people are actually actively searching for. What is better, this platform or this platform? And if you have a blog post that is specifically oriented to that specific keyword, Google is going to like that because they know that when they serve that result to a user who's searching for that question, that user is going to be happy because they click on the link and then they stay on that page and read the article because it's actually relevant to the information that they're looking for actively with intent.